You stabbed your wife in the neck with a screwdriver, tried to bring her back from the dead, and then buried her body.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we just got the release of The Devil All the Time on Netflix, and it was a little bit depressing. It's a dark story where bad people do bad things and nothing good actually ever happens. Even decent people end up doing bad things, and the good people have the bad things done to them. In fact, at the end of it all, the only one left standing is a decent person who was forced to do bad things to terrible people. And the only objectively good people in this story are left to survive tragedy after tragedy. And just when you think the story can't get any darker, it finds a way. The Devil All the Time follows a number of bizarre characters from the end of World War II till about the late 60s. But most importantly, this movie follows a single young man who's just trying to protect his family from these bizarre characters. And while it's got an initially off-putting watch time of over 2 hours, this film actually manages to fill it all with interesting stories that keep you engaged throughout. The time doesn't fly, but it is enjoyable. There is a lot going on, especially at the beginning, and it's really easy to lose track of where exactly we are in the story, with a number of different storylines breaking off and intersecting at different points. But after a while, once the characters and plot is established, everything starts to make more sense and it becomes easy to follow. It's not always a straightforward journey, and I remember thinking that this felt more like a book being crammed into the time constraints of a film, simply due to the sheer amount of stories that it was trying to tell and how many of them felt incomplete. The narrations especially gave me the feeling of listening to a book rather than watching a typically structured film.
In the years to come, Carl would call Sandy the bait, and she'd call him the shooter.
And sure enough, when the credits rolled, I learned that it actually was a book first. The author was even given the role of the narrator. There aren't a lot of adapted screenplays that make me want to go back and read the source material, but after watching this film, I just may need to read the book. The movie does a great job of giving the audience a taste of the full story that it's based on.
And suddenly he realized, standing in his father's church, that he'd had no other choice.
Anthony Campos directed an amazing film with great cinematography by Lowell Crowley. The visuals were stunning, even with the setting of mostly trees. And everything was just tied together nicely with an all-star cast where the strength of all the actors really showed through in their individual moments throughout the film. One thing that did kind of nag on me though was the fact that almost none of these main characters felt fully believable as small-town bums. They just looked a bit too polished, even when dressed out as Midwesterners in the 50s and 60s. But thankfully, that didn't detract too much from the film. Jason Clarke, however, did look right at home as he always does. There's almost no one better at playing sleazy characters, and he was honestly one of my favorites in this film. Him and Riley Keough's characters appeared at the start, but then only showed up occasionally as the movie went on, and I would have liked to have seen more of their story along with Sebastian Stan's character as well. We really only get to see glimpses of these characters without fully knowing their beginnings, even though they play a major part in the end of the movie. Their story really feels incomplete, as there was more to them that got teased but wasn't shown, and I really would have liked for those things to have been explored more in the movie.
I'm the law around here, little sister, and that makes all the difference.
Robert Pattinson's Preacher was a unique kind of creepy and despicable. He's unlikable from his very first appearance, and he further cements it in every single scene.
Grandma, that ain't no preacher. He's as bad as they got on the damn radio.
Instead of helping his congregation, he uses them for his own gain, then disparages them when they don't meet his standards. and further, he discards them when he's finished. He's not the first preacher to do a terrible thing in the name of the Lord, not even the first in this movie.
God loves you, Helen.
But he knowingly abuses his position with seemingly no remorse for the consequences. I think he's a big reason for the title of this story, The Devil All the Time. Because even those closest to the Lord keep doing devilish things. And God himself seems to have just abandoned the towns in the story, especially the people. Now, Tom Holland was the heart of this film. He's literally the center, as almost everything that happens is in some way connected to him, shaping both his environment and his actions from childhood.
You know what would do you good? To not be wandering behind school by your own self like I told you.
I think he delivers a great performance of the kid just trying to protect the ones he loves, although always falling short. The audience can't help but feel for him and his character, especially when we know another horrible thing is waiting for him just around every corner. He lives in a dark reality and is just doing his best to find the light in it. And I think almost everybody can sympathize with that, especially with what's going on in the real world these days. The Devil All the Time isn't for everybody, but it is a really good film with a compelling story. It's got interesting characters, no matter how unlikable they may be, a unique way of storytelling that really grabs your attention, and performances that draw you into the film. If you've got a couple of hours to spare and are in the mood for a dark, gritty movie, I think this is definitely a must-watch.
Behold!
If you've already seen the film, let me know what you thought the most tragic part was for you in the comments below. And while you're here, don't forget to subscribe. We've got new videos coming out every week. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, have a great day, and don't forget to watch a great movie. Bye.